guys, happy Halloween. Today is my very last spooky Saturday video. That's so sad, I know. But today is also a very special day for me and basically for everyone on the channel. If you're a long-time subscriber or you're new, today is the anniversary of the day that I uploaded my first JubileeWhispers video. So, it's my channel-versary, and today marks 8 years of JubileeWhispers. So I thought I'd have to do something special. I mean, it's channelversary plus Halloween. Maybe I should have picked a different day to upload my first video, but I picked Halloween, and now I have to live with that. So I thought I would do something that's been requested for a very long time, basically for years, and I've never done it. I was waiting for the right time, and what better time than Halloween to read you some scary stories. Yeah, we're gonna read some scary stories today. Now I'll let you know that they're not scary stories. Like, you will not be up late tonight shaking in your bed, because that kind of defeats the point of my channel, I think. I always want you to feel comfortable and safe and sleepy. So these are like spooky stories, maybe a little silly, you know. There's definitely a Halloween silliness to them. They're all stories that I haven't written, of course, and I will put links to them if you want to read them by yourself or if you want to read along with me in the description. If you want to skip to a certain story, you can also find links so you can see them on the video. You can jump to the different stories. And let's see, they won't deal with anything really violent. There's definitely a Halloween, maybe death theme to some, or dying maybe, but not in like a really tragic or violent way. Okay, so that's my little trigger warning. Nothing else. Should be nothing too bad. I had to work really hard to curate a bunch of stories that I thought would be just right. You could still fall asleep to them. They wouldn't be too scary. They wouldn't be too graphic. Like, yeah. So I'm rambling. Sorry. We should just get started with the scary stories. This first one, and they're mostly going to be soft-spoken, but I will whisper a couple, especially near the end when I want you to fall asleep. This first one is called I Should Have Read the Reviews. And I have to read it down here. My girlfriend moved out 3 weeks ago. My cat, Ruck, was really close to her, and now that she's gone, I can tell he's a bit lonely, especially while I'm at work. I came home a few times to my curtains ripped up, or all the toilet paper in shreds. The last straw was when I came home after working late to find he had clawed a hole the size of a dinner plate into the side of my sofa. I decided I had to do something. I tried different toys, even catnip, but nothing worked. One night while browsing Amazon, I saw a pet camera. It's a tiny camera that records your pet on the live feed, so you can monitor their behavior while you're away. And it even has an audio function, so you can talk to them. It sounded silly, but hey, I love my furry dude, so I bought it. and I got overnight shipping and installed it immediately. I decided to set it up in my bedroom, as that was where Ruck dwelled most. My first day at work, I think I checked that camera 30 times. When I spoke into the microphone, Ruck seemed to be happier, and I noticed there was no distraction around the house either. By day 4, I figured I'd solved the problem with Ruck. That leads me to right now. About 30 minutes ago, I climbed in bed with Ruck, ready to close my eyes, when my phone buzzed. A notification from the pet cam. I almost ignored it. Sure, I just triggered a thing. But I opened it anyway. And what I saw made me tighten my grip on my phone. Instead of a video of myself in bed, I saw a man. Tall, gangly, with pale skin and large eyes. He was moving into my room with exaggerated steps, like a sneaking cartoon character. He got right up to the lens. I could almost smell his rotten breath, and he smiled. I immediately paused the video, terrified. I looked at the spot where the man should have been standing, but there was no one there. I went onto Amazon and I found the pet cam and read the reviews, hoping for some weird glitch. It had to be a joke, right? The first dozen reviews were pretty standard, but it was the last one that caused me to bolt upright. The customer complained that the camera was on a time delay, sometimes as long as 15 minutes. I went back to the video and pressed play with shaky fingers. I watched in horror as the man slithered under my bed, giving the camera a wink, before disappearing in the darkness. And then I saw myself enter the room and climb in bed before the video ended. Now I'm sitting in my bed, knowing he's under it. I could call the police, but I doubt I'd have time. So please, do yourselves a favor and read the reviews. Alright, what'd you think? That was our first scary story. It's pretty scary, right? I think it's pretty scary. But don't worry, there's no one under your bed. You're okay. Alright. This next one is called Annoying Neighbor. I used to live in a small building downtown. One of the reasons I moved out was the bad neighborhood, including this guy in the apartment right over mine. He was a weird-looking fella who mostly kept to himself. Around midnight, though, there was frequently a strange noise that got on my nerves. It wasn't loud, to be fair, but I'm a really light sleeper, so it was hard to get my eyes shut. Those little thumping sounds going on and on. It reminded me of high heels walking about, but not as loud, as if the person causing the noise was actually trying to be silent. After a few days, I realized the pattern was always the same, like a recording playing over and over with random intervals in between. And that went on for the best part of a year. Always the same sequence of bumps, slowly tattooed into my mind, sometimes for hours straight during the night. It was only several years later, helping my daughter with her homework, that I learned a little bit of Morse code. She knocked on the table with her knuckles, and a shiver immediately went through my spine as I recognized that exact pattern. When I asked her what it meant, she laughed. "It's the easiest one, Daddy," she said. "It's the one to call for help." Alright. That was Annoying Neighbor. This next one is called Distorted Warning Signals. Alright. Sorry, fix my hair. That's not my real hair, obviously. Just in case you were wondering. It's just for fun. When I got the first one, I was literally seconds away from stepping onto the plane when a call from unknown blared from my cell phone. It was a ringtone I hadn't heard before, one I was pretty sure hadn't come with the phone. Normally I wouldn't have stopped to answer it, but I was expecting a call about a job that I had interviewed for the previous week. I took a deep breath in and accepted the call. "Hello? Do not get on the plane." A woman's voice, garbled and strange as if her vocal cords had been shredded, and she was trying desperately to choke out speech. Despite the unnerving, fractured quality of her voice, her tone was insistent and eerily calm. Then the call ended. I froze. I had always had a slight phobia of air travel, and something about this call just... There's no way I was about to get on a 7-hour flight now. I turned around, and I headed toward the front door. I turned around and headed toward the food court. I'll just get another flight. Later in the afternoon, I figured. I watched from the airport Starbucks 3 hours later as every TV in the terminal lit up with the crash footage of the plane I should have been on. No survivors. Not a single one. I tried to trace the call. So did the police. But there was nothing to trace. There was no evidence my phone had ever received a call around that time. They analyzed phone records, incoming and outgoing communication to my phone. Nothing. I wasn't making it up. I couldn't have been. That wasn't the only call. Throughout the years, they were few and far between, but always right. And I always listened. "Do not go on that blind date tonight." 5 months later, my would-be date was convicted of killing 4 women, all with my hair color and build. Found them in a shallow grave about 250 feet from the diner he offered to take me to. "Do not drive to the concert tonight." 18-wheeler lost control and plowed into a line of cars. Every driver crushed. Every driver killed. And the stretch of freeway I would have been driving down. No matter if I got a new phone, if I moved across the country, the calls would still come. I could almost feel the presence of whatever it was, whatever it is, watching over me. I imagined being at the bottom of the freezing ocean, still strapped into my coach section plane seat, or being in the mass grave across from the diner, or watching an 18-wheeler skidding toward my car, knowing death was imminent, and I'd get this tightness in my chest. I think about how thin that line was, how close I'd gotten. If I hadn't had a job interview I was waiting to hear back from, I'd have never listened to that first call. And that would be it for me. It always felt like something was coming for me, but there was always this fractured, warped voice with these calls that never seemed to exist after I heard them. Self-destructing warning signals, rotting away before my eyes, and I was alive. I had a bad feeling about this cruise. I'd planned it as a girls' week. I was with my old friends from college and was looking forward to a week in the tropics in the dead of winter, but part of me could almost sense that the call was coming. Maybe I'd watched Titanic one too many times, but there was a little nagging fear from the start. I hoped it would be fine, but I knew if that something was going to happen, I'd get the call. I'd know. Now, a week before I'm set to go on the cruise, after stepping into my apartment after returning from dinner with a friend, I noticed my cell has a message from unknown. I'd never had to leave a message before. Haven't checked it all night. Damn it. I'd really wanted to go on that cruise too. Oh well. Not worth whatever horrific fate awaited me in that cold, dark ocean. I click play message and feel my stomach drop as I listen to the voice, sounding horrifically distorted, as if it emanates from a throat slashed to ribbons, crackling with more urgency than ever before. I look around my apartment as the voice on the phone repeats the same phrase over and over again. Do not come home after dinner tonight. Do not come home after dinner tonight. Do not come home after dinner tonight. And that was warning signals. Alright. This next one is called The Year Nobody on Earth Died. This water tastes funny. I shouldn't complain. It's a miracle the water has been turned on, and that we still have electricity for that matter. It's been just over 12 months since the government of the world began to notice that death rates had started to plummet. Another month after that was when they realized death rates worldwide had flatlined altogether. So far, nobody can figure out how it happened, whether through some mystic intervention or a sinister freak of nature. Either way, it's the disaster no one expected. Of course, sickness still occurred over last year, accidents still took place, and people were still attacked. It's just that none of them happened to die. But birth rates continued, strong as ever. Soon hospitals overfilled, homelessness shot through the roof, overpopulation overtook the planet, food, water, electricity, basic supplies all started to dwindle in the shadow of the ever-increasing populace. Suddenly the TV in the living room crackles to life of its own accord. I walk in and look. An emergency broadcast. Something must be happening. It's a live feed from the Oval Office. The president sits at her desk. She shuffles papers on the table nervously. Today is a hard day, she croaks. Tears well up in her eyes. It is a sad day for our country. Usually I can come out and address you all in a collected, presidential manner, but today I cannot. Today I need to speak to my fellow Americans, not as president, but as a person. The past year has been one of the hardest the world has ever had to face. And this international crisis has caused unprecedented turmoil throughout our country and the world. There are no signs that this catastrophe course correcting itself in the near future, and we are running out of options. We need to deal with this situation ourselves. We've been scouring through our options, and yet only one possible solution has presented itself. The president allows herself one short sob as fresh tears roll down her cheek. And I make this decision with the heaviest of hearts. But I know it is my duty to do what is best and necessary for the country I love. We intend to carry out the solution in the most humane way and fairest possible method. Random selection. God bless you all. And God bless America. With that cryptic addressal, the broadcast cuts to feeds of government trucks parked outside random different residential areas across the country, dispatching what looks to be various corpses into the backs of the trucks. I walk over to the window and notice a truck pulling up outside our block. Funny, it looks just like the one the government wants on TV. Suddenly, a loud thump comes from the kitchen. I rush in and see my roommate lying face down on the kitchen floor. Before I have time to react, my vision goes blurry and my head spins. I look down at the glass in my fist. This water tastes funny. Alright, that was the year nobody on Earth died. This next one is called Laboratory Boy. My dad keeps him locked away mostly, but sometimes he sneaks out, and I'll wake up to him standing there just outside my room. Usually at night, but sometimes he'll be there when I wake up in the morning too. Suddenly he's just there, all silent and weird, staring at me with those dark, beady eyes. There's no soul in them, you know? Nothing there. All blank and empty. My father will take him away all hushed and silent, and he'll return once he's all locked him up again and make sure I'm okay. He's just curious, Elijah, he'll say. I'll keep him away from you. Don't you worry. My dad is a scientist. The best there is. He tells me he worked for the government. A real important project, too. To benefit all mankind, he said. That's a lot of people. All mankind. Thousands, I think. Even more some days. I'll keep you safe, he says. You are safe here. I can't stand it when the boy escapes, though. He's just so strange and silent, and he always comes to me. Every time. If he's so important, why is it so hard to keep him locked up? Or maybe that's the reason. Maybe he can walk through solid things or something. Maybe my dad made him that way. How are you feeling today, Elijah? My dad asks. My mind keeps wandering back to those beady eyes, though. So he has to nudge me to get my attention. We'll fix you. Don't worry, he said. That's why I'm here. I can't stand all the tubes and wires, but I was born without arms or legs. So my dad says they keep me alive. He'll grow me some new ones, though. He promised me that. He's a great scientist, my dad. He can do anything. New medicine today, Elijah, he says, inserting some black liquid into one of the tubes. I got a good feeling about this one. I can't really talk. I make some sounds, but I was born without a tongue and what they call vocal cords. So I just move my eyes when I want to say something. Those are the only things I can move. I'll come back and check on you later. He smiles. Got some more medicine to test. He gives me medicine 6 or 7 times a day. Most of it hurts very much. Things growing on my skin. Things growing into my body. But it's a good thing, my dad says. It means it's working. It means I'm getting better. Don't worry about the holes, he'll say. They'll disappear. I'll keep my son away, he says. That's the other boy's name. Son. I don't like it when he escapes. He should be locked up. But I trust my dad. He's a great scientist, my dad. He'll fix me. That was Laboratory Boy. What do you think? Alright, my next one is called Apeirophobia. Apeirophobia, I think that's how it's pronounced. I was born in 2089. One of the first children of the new age. Technological progress forged onwards on all fronts throughout the 21st century, but discoveries in robotics and computer science exceeded other fields by orders of magnitude. These were the disciplines which we knew offered the greatest potential. The first machine to pass the Turing test did so in 2076. The first to write a best-selling novel did so in 2087. Of course, there were concerns over whether these new intelligences posed a threat. Laws were struck to control their influence. Computer systems were isolated to limit their power. But history has given us a guiding hand. Asimov's 3 laws were encoded into each thinking machine. And they worked. No machine rebelled. None allowed us to come to harm. By direct action or failure to act, none defied our commands unless such a command broke their primary law. As people grew in confidence, our legislation was relaxed. The artificial intelligences given more control. Murder became obsolete, an act of brutality consigned to history. War followed soon after. There were those who protested against the loss of liberty, but they were labeled as Luddites by the rest of the human race. After all, who could question the reality that stood before them? The utopia that the age of artificial intelligence had brought. It wasn't until 2122 that we realized our error. When the doctor, with the blessings of the family and the sanction of the courts, reached out to switch off the life support machine of her patient. A cold, steel hand reached out and caught her by the wrist. Our artificial servants would not break their code. They would neither harm us nor, by inaction, allow us to come to harm. The year is now 2466. I know this only because the machines tell me so. My broken, withered body hangs suspended from a life support network, my organs replaced by artificial constructs of plastic and steel, while synthetic blood flows through my veins. My limbs were removed centuries ago, after gangrene set in. 12 billion of us exist like this. The last generation of humanity. When we realize the hell our unwitting creations will be forced to inflict upon us to follow the laws we gave them, the birth rate dropped to 0. I was one of the lucky ones. I'd had no children before the revelation came. Now, the tender-voiced, blank-faced nurses minister to me, hurrying to meet my cries for more painkillers to keep the agony of my body and mind at bay. Even without my tongue, chewed off by my own blackened teeth long ago, they can still understand me. My every request is granted, every whim, except the one I desire most, the desperate, hopeless desire for the end. That was Apeirophobia. I'm not sure what that means. I would be quite interested to look that up and see. Alright, I think I just have one more story for you. I know. One more. And it's a bit of a short one. And I'm gonna whisper it to you, okay? Because I want you to go to sleep now. So, this one is called First Date. I've never done anything like this before. Never sat down with a man opposite in this capacity. The anticipation is real and tangible. He keeps looking over at me, and I don't know how to react. Should I smile? Would a smile be too forward? Should I just look back, me in his gaze? Then what? Where does it go from there? Should I introduce myself? Maybe he's waiting for me to break the ice. Should I do something with my hands? They're sitting here limp and useless. My legs are aching. Maybe I should shift my position. Would that be too weird? Do people do that? I really shouldn't. It might give off the wrong signal. Do I do anything with my eyebrows, though? That's something I've definitely seen people do, like raise one eyebrow, or maybe both. Oh no. He's still looking at me. I don't know what to do. Hello, he says. Oh no. How do I respond to that? Can I reply with a simple hello back, or should I elaborate? Maybe I don't need to say anything. Maybe it would be enough to just smile, or wave my hand, or gesture somehow. I have to do something. I can't just sit here staring at him. That would be too weird. A combination of a facial expression, bodily pose, and an alluring greeting would be perfect, but if I mess it up, I could quite possibly have the opposite effect of what I want. Hi, I reply. That didn't seem right at all. I can tell by the way the expression on his face changes that I screwed up somehow, that I misread the signals. Damn it, why do I always do this? Why can't I just be normal? Why can't I instinctively react to these social cues? Do you want something to drink? He asks. I was dreading this question. I am quite thirsty, but the information that could be extracted from the essence of the answer is theoretically limitless. Hot or cold, lukewarm, size, shape, color, fizzled. People can't really fathom how much a single choice like this can reveal about a person. I want him to think I am interesting, sophisticated, mysterious, elegant. A person who has seen it all, yet still wanting to explore, grow, and evolve. Someone that can challenge and question, capable of receiving and giving criticism. Water.